Hi, I'm Ayman. Welcome back to one of my auto repair videos. In this video, I'm going to show you how to drain and refill your Honda Accord 2007 automatic transmission fluid. The process for draining and refilling the automatic transmission fluid in a Honda Accord is, in this video, is for a 2003-2007 Honda Accord, but it should be the same for pretty much any Honda car. I mean, at least of the same generation. Now, before we get to starting the process, first off, don't confuse the engine oil dipstick and the automatic transmission fluid dipstick. This is for the engine oil, and this is for the automatic transmission fluid. Alright, so you can see that when I pull it out, it says ATF on it, which means automatic transmission fluid. And this is what the dipstick looks like. Now, automatic transmission fluid should be around I think they describe it as a cherry red. So if it shows up as a very dark red or a brown or even a black, you definitely need to replace it. I mean, they always say to clean it before you check it, but we already cleaned it before. Also, when you put the dipstick back, just make sure that this notch right here, this cutout, is also facing this part sticking out right here. So you can see this is facing the driver's side. It's really hard to see. Now let's see where we're going to deal with for draining. So that means we're going to go down below the car. That means you have to jack it up. And we have to look at the drain plug. So right here is the engine oil pan, but what we're dealing with here is the transmission. The drain plug is right here. It's this bolt right here that has a square hole in it. In order to drain the oil, all we have to do, in order to drain the automatic transmission fluid, we have to take out this drain bolt. The process is very simple, and you only need, at minimum, one tool, which is a 3/8-inch ratchet. And maybe if you're not able to open it, then you need a hammer to knock it, or a longer ratchet, or a longer wrench. So all you have to do is fix the ratchet wrench, or the wrench, onto the hole, onto the drain plug. Alright, so now we're going to open it up, and we're going to loosen it. Alright, so like I said before, if you can't open it by yourself, I probably can't open it right now because of the camera angle, but if you can't open it by yourself, then you need to use a hammer to knock it. Alright, so now we have it loosened, and now what we're going to do is, I'm going to loosen it a few more, and then I'm going to take an extension and then do it by hand. Alright, so it looks like it's loose enough to do an extension. And the reason we have this extension is because as soon as we loosen the drain bolt, automatic transmission fluid is going to come out. So actually, I should do it like this so you guys can see. Also, have your car warmed up before this, because if it's warmed up, that means that more fluid should drain out. Because this long extension is rubbing against the engine oil pan, we're going to use a shorter one right here, and then we're going to loosen it. So keep your drain pan, I guess, under here so that it can catch the oil when it comes out, or the fluid when it comes out. And let's see what this magic looks like. Alright. Well, so as you can see, that's what the drain bolt looks like. That's what all the draining fluid looks like too. And I think the amount that's going to drain out is around 2.5 quarts. However, the entire system holds about 6.2 quarts, and all the rest of it is going to be in the actual system, like the torque converter, and some other parts. But right now, only 2.5 quarts is going to come out. So now what we need to do with this drain bolt is we need to clean it. So just take any cloth or rag and then clean it. Also, when this drain bolt comes out, it should come out with a washer attached. This washer is called the crush washer, and we actually have replacements. You can see right now, it's not on the bolt, and I think that's because we dropped it in the oil pan. It's lost in the oil somewhere, but that's alright because we have replacements. So these crush washers are called crush washers because because they're soft metal, and as you put them in, the bolt is going to crush them and it's going to create a seal. Now, if you don't have replacement crush washers, what you can do is you can turn around the washer and then put them back on. But in the past, or maybe we shouldn't say this, but in the past we have put them on without turning them around and it still worked fine. But just make sure that you clean the drain bolt. So here's what a new crush washer looks like on the drain bolt, or as some people like to call it, a drain plug. And what happens is, like I said before, as you screw it in, the soft metal is going to get crushed by the drain plug, and it creates a sort of seal. Now at the end here, there is a sort of a black piece. It's actually a magnetic piece that attracts all the contaminants in the automatic transmission fluid. So that's why you need to clean this part of the drain plug, so that makes sure that it can accept new contaminants. As you see, it should be clean right now. So while this oil is draining, it should take around just 10 minutes. Let's talk about refilling. So Honda recommends to use ATF DW-1, and we have a box here, right here from Amazon. I think it's around $100, although I think you can get them for cheaper by single packs. But the reason that we have so many is because we're going to refill them. Now, like I said earlier, it drains around 2.5 quarts, but actually when my dad drained it last time, he had to refill 2.5 quarts, and then he came back the day after, and then he refilled another like quarter quart. So it's always easier to refill less at first, and then to come back later and refill more. Now we're going to refill the fluid. In order to do that, we have to put the drain plug back in. So now we're going to go through here. Now we're going to clean up the drain plug hole. Just wipe it around. I mean, it looks like a little bit is still coming out, so we're just going to get enough. And then I'm going to screw it in by hand. Alright, so after that happens, what we need to do is we need to take a torque wrench, and then we need to torque it to 36 foot-pounds. And as that happens, you're going to see that maybe you're not going to see, but the crush washer is going to start to get crushed. So righty tighty, lefty loosey. So that means, alright, it's already ratcheted, already set to the right ratchet position. Wait. So that click right there indicates that is now torqued to 36 foot-pounds. So now we should be good to refill the fluid. Now we're going to refill the fluid. Now, like I said before, it's the right dipstick with the yellow cap usually, not the red one or the orange one. That's for the engine oil. So usually, or it would be preferable to lower the car, but for now we're just going to keep it up. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a funnel, make sure it's clean. We're going to take the dipstick out. I'm going to put this somewhere. So now you want to put the funnel into the filler tube. Make sure it's nice and snug there. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the ATF DW-1 fluid, and then we're going to refill it. So we have a quart bottle here, so that means we need 3 of these bottles. So 1 quart, 2 quarts, and then half of this. So as I dump this, you're gonna notice that the color of the fluid, it's actually like it's accurate. It's cherry red. So this is what you want to look out for. It smells nice too. So you probably want to keep out of the way of your cats or your pets. Bottle number 2. So if there's a 6.2 quart system, that means we'll probably have to do this operation 2 more times, right? Alright, so we're on our 3rd quart, and my dad's recommending that what I actually said is wrong. We don't have to do this multiple times in one go, because Honda actually recommends that you do this process once every 50,000 miles after 100,000 miles. So that means essentially what you're doing is you're not replacing the entire 6.2 quarts of the system, making sure that's not halfway. You're actually diluting what's already in the system, just 2.5 quarts at a time and every 50,000 miles. Now, if you have a actual transmission problem, then that might have to deal with draining and then refilling multiple times. But I think with normal maintenance, we're at 1/2, we don't have to worry about that. So the average Joe probably doesn't replace their transmission like they should on a regular basis, and most people will only replace their transmission fluid when they actually encounter a problem, which is what happened to my brother Amiro. This car here, we've had it for around 4 years. It's at around 300,000 miles, and this is the first time we've ever replaced the fluid on this car. So talking about the problem that my brother had, well, obviously his transmission had a problem. So an example of this was when he was at a stop sign. When he would stop, the car would still stutter a bit over. Alright, so I got that wrong. What my brother's problem with his transmission was, when he stopped at a stop sign and he tried to start going again, you know that when you go from a complete stop to acceleration, your transmission deals with that change in speed. So because of that, when he was trying to go, the car would start stuttering before it actually kick off. So essentially, that was a problem with the transmission. And my dad suggested that if you have a problem just like that, where you realize that the transmission is being funky with the transmission of gears, then he suggests that you drive on only 3rd gear, because if you drive on any gear above that, then the car might start to have problems. Alright, so let me take a step back and try to explain it in the best way that I can, from what my dad has taught me, and also from what my 8th grade middle school engineering teacher has taught me, because he dealt with a lot of the car mechanics stuff. So let's go into the car. You should go on the driver's side so that okay, I'll go on the driver's side actually. I just realized I brought the dipstick in for this, but essentially what happens with your automatic transmission is that as your car is driving, it changes the gear for you as you're changing speeds. So first off, when you go from a complete stop to accelerating, you want to start at 1st gear, because 1st gear provides the most torque, but it is the slowest. So as soon as you get to like 10 miles per hour, the automatic transmission is going to ramp it up to 2nd gear. And as you go up to around 20 miles per hour, it goes up to 3rd gear. Then like 40 miles per hour goes up to 4th gear. Now, what happens with the automatic transmission, at least for my brother, or for maybe for you, is that essentially, if you're driving at high speeds like 40 miles per hour, you're at 4th gear, and if you stop, if your transmission has a problem, then it'll stay in 4th gear, which is not what you want, because in order for you to accelerate from a complete stop, you need 1st gear because it has the most torque. But with 4th gear, you don't have enough power to keep the car moving, so that means it's gonna stutter a bit. That's why the transmission has a problem, because it doesn't change transmissions. I hope that explanation was clear enough, but essentially, what my dad said as a possible solution to this, at least while you're trying to get to the garage to fix this transmission problem, is normally you'd be driving on D right here on the gearbox. D means automatic transmission, which changes your gear for you. But you want to instead use manual gear, which is 1, 2, or 3. So my dad suggests using gear 3 in order to get to wherever you need to go, but he warns that you can never go above 50 miles per hour, which means that you can never go on the highway, because if you go high speeds, the RPM is going to be too much and it's probably going to damage the gearbox. So that means you want to drive at a slow speed, probably on gear 3, and get to any garage or at least get home. I guess I think that was a good explanation, hopefully. And if anyone has any corrections to me, please explain down in the comments below for anyone who is curious to find out. Thank you. Alright, so now all I have to do is take out the funnel, put the dipstick in. After that, what we're going to do is we're going to start the engine, and then we're going to run the gear a few times in order to get that liquid pumping through and diluting all the fluid that's already in the system. So I don't know why that's so troubling for me, but now we have the dipstick in, and I'm gonna start the car and just change the gear a while. Wait. I'm trying to remember if we forgot anything. Okay, I don't think we did. Alright, so I kind of want to demonstrate this, but I'm probably not going to demonstrate it for sake of safety, but essentially what we need to do is turn on the engine and switch on the gearbox. But in order to turn on the engine and to play with the gearbox, we have to press the brake. Now, if I release the brake, it's going to end up causing... the wheels are going to be spinning, but it's going to cause the car to vibrate a bit, and since it's on jacks, that means that the car could possibly fall off, and the garage is right in front of me, so just gotta weigh the options here. Alright, so my dad's telling me as long as I don't change the gear, I can just start the engine right now, and that should get it warmed up at least. Alright. Yeah, just keep doing this a bit while, and it should be pumping through. Alright, so now we're done. That was a bit scary. And we should be done. Now, if you're not dealing with a Honda Accord, we're also going to be doing a video on how to change the transmission fluid on my dad's Honda Civic. Back there, he's replaced it once at 200,000 miles and another time at 230,000 miles, but that was because the transmission had problems. Right now it's at 240,000 miles, and since we have this much transmission fluid, you might as well replace it anyway. So we're going to be doing a video on that, so go check out if you're interested, and for now, we're done. Alright, so a bit of a correction here. It seems like the 2.5 quarts was just a guide for the Honda Civic. It turns out, taking a look at this oil pan, that we're going to need a lot more transmission fluid. And if we take a look at the dipstick, you see that nothing actually seems to be coming out. So that means we're going to add maybe another half a quart, maybe more if we need to. But hopefully it should be okay. Now also, while I'm here, the day after you refill the oil or the fluid, what you want to do is you want to put a sheet of something below there, probably paper, below your car, so that you can check if there's any leaks. Another thing you want to do is you probably want to refill more transmission fluid because, like I said before, after my dad refilled the transmission fluid, he still came back the day after and he had to put another quart. So those are two things you need to do with the day after, but after that, you should be fine. Alright, so in the end, we actually ended up adding about almost another quart of transmission fluid from our original 2.5 quart estimate. So that's probably around 3.25 quarts to be refilled after you drain it. So as you can see on the dipstick, actually, no, that's not a good idea. So another thing is that when you try to measure using the dipstick, what you probably have to do is you probably have to end up letting it sit for a while, because you know, it's dripping, so that means it's going to take a while to collect onto the dipstick. So, as we take it out, you'll see that. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So, oh, the reason I couldn't see it earlier is because it's a lighter color, and I was expecting a darker color. I just realized. But essentially, you should be looking for where that level of that glossy red should lie instead of a brown, because we're filling it. And if it's in between these two dots, then you're golden. As you can see, we're good. The reason why I couldn't see it is because you have to look at one side. Because when you put the dipstick in, hey Aspa, hey Fikri, when you put the dipstick in, it's, as you can see, it's rubbing against a bend, and it's touching only one side of the oil of the fluid that is dripping. So that means that the indicator is only going to show on one side. That's really loud. Just how high the amount, or just the amount of the transmission fluid. But with that, I think we're going to close, but we're going to wait for the noise to. Okay, as I say it. But anyway, I'm Iman, and today I showed you how to drain and refill your automatic transmission fluid for your Honda Accord 2002-2007, but pretty much should work for most Hondas around the same age. So thanks for watching. Please like and comment, subscribe, and other videos on Iman, especially on the Honda Accord, because we've done a lot of videos on Amiral's car. We recently replaced his alternator, so go check out that video. And like I said before, we're going to do a video on how to replace or rather drain and refill the transmission fluid on my dad's Honda Civic. So I'll see you there. So I guess that's all for now, and I am Mechanic Iman signing out. Peace.